Kia ora, and welcome to Wednesday's Economy Watch, where we follow the economic events and trends that affect Aotearoa. I'm David Chaston, and this is the international edition from interest.co.nz, and today we lead with news that rather than understating US jobs growth, which got her fired, the stats agency chief reporting labour market data overstated Trump's job growth, and by some margin. But first up today, there was a dairy pulse auction earlier for both skim milk powder and whole milk powder, and while prices dipped as expected, they didn't dip as much as the derivatives market had signalled. Whole milk powder was down just 0.2% from the full auction in the prior week. Skim milk powder was down 0.6%. However, the firming New Zealand dollar resulted in about a 1.5% fall in New Zealand dollar terms. In the US, the Small Business NFIB Sentiment Survey for August reported stable conditions, with some issues easing, some tightening. And there was a US Treasury 3-year bond auction early today, and it was well supported, but less well supported than the prior equivalent event a month ago. And it resulted in a median yield of 3.45%, down sharply from the 3.61% at that prior equivalent event. The outside shift likely reflects bond investor risk aversion. Although it is just a statistical adjustment, updated data shows the US economy added 911,000 fewer jobs in the 12 months through March than initially reported, the largest downward revision since at least 2000. This is a 0.6% adjustment down, far more than the average change of 0.2% up in the total non-farm employment over the past decade. Nearly all sectors added fewer jobs than initially estimated. If the US Fed cuts rates next week to bolster their slowing economy, it would likely signal that they are changing their inflation goal from 2% to 3% and prepared to accept stagflation over stagnation. The risk, though, is that they get both. Across the Pacific, Japanese machine tool orders were up 8.1% in August from a year ago, largely due to a 12% surge in export orders. Export orders made up almost 3/4 of this industry's order book in August. And Taiwan kept its amazing record of export growth in August. They jumped more than 34% from a year ago and outperforming market expectations of a 22% growth. In Russia, their federal treasury reported another deep deficit in August, the second in a row and the first time ever of back-to-back deficits exceeding 1.9% of GDP there. In Australia, ANZ Group's New Broome CEO Nuno Matos has kicked off a change program at the Four Pillar Bank with plans to shed 3,500 Australian staff. And the Westpac Melbourne Institute Consumer Sentiment Survey slipped on darker views about the economic outlook and less confidence about getting any more rate cuts from the RBA because inflation is still too high. Analysts had expected this survey to possibly break into net optimism in September, but it was not to be. Meanwhile, the August NAB Business Confidence Report shows it fell 3 points following 4 consecutive months of improving sentiment and leaves confidence also close to long-run average levels. The US Treasury 10-year yield is now just under 4.07%, up 2 basis points from yesterday at this time. And the price of gold will start today at a new record high of $3,641 an ounce, up $9 from yesterday. And American oil prices are marginally firm at just over $62.50 a barrel, while the international Brent price is up 50 US cents at just on $66.50 a barrel. And the Kiwi dollar is now just over 59.3 US cents, unchanged from yesterday. Against the Aussie, we're down 10 basis points at 90 Australian cents. Against the euro, we're up 10 basis points at 50.6 euro cents. That all means our trade-weighted index starts today at just over 66.6 and down 10 basis points from yesterday. And the Bitcoin price starts today at $111,080 and down 1.1% from yesterday. Volatility of the past 24 hours has been moderate, also just under plus or minus 1.1%. You can get more news affecting the economy in New Zealand from interest.co.nz. Kia ora, I'm David Chaston, and we'll do this again tomorrow.